The real reason behind the Connor Sheary signing has been revealed, and what Chris Drury is planning to do with not just this player, but the entire roster heading into next season should have Rangers fans absolutely fired up. And I'm going to break down exactly why in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, if you're part of the percentage, about 77% of you who are watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, go down below, hit that free subscribe button because this is the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But let's jump right into it. Obviously, Brett, covered the signing a couple days ago, and it's not a traditional signing. It's a PTO. Obviously, it's a tryout heading into camp. So there is a real world where he doesn't stick with the team, and that, of course, is Connor Sheary that we're talking about. And Brett, again, broke that down on the channel, the initial signing. But I feel like there's more behind this signing and why Chris Drury made this signing. Obviously, there's the basic and obvious connections to Mike Sullivan, the new head coach, through Pittsburgh, and Connor Sheary, did have some great seasons under him before, and we'll get to that as well. But I think there is a lot more to this signing. So as we know, Connor Sheary was obviously signed to a PTO contract, and that means he's going to come into training camp. He's going to fight for a spot, all of those things. We know he's a little bit on the older side, I guess, for a pro athlete, at least for a hockey player. So I don't think, on paper, he's going to add much to this lineup. He could be a pretty good depth option for the New York Rangers heading into next season that, has NHL experience, has played under Mike Sullivan's system before as well. But I actually think there is a lot more to this signing. As you can see here from NYR Ryan, that just 2 days ago, he wrote that the Rangers might bring in a veteran on a PTO to stabilize the roster. And obviously, we know that's kind of why this signing was done. But again, I think there is more to it. And the reason I think they made this sign is because if you look at the lineup, right, heading into next season, there's a lot of young wingers on this team. Brendan Othman, Brett Berard. Okay, and those are two guys that I think can absolutely play on this team, that can make the team out of training camp. But I think Chris Drury, what he's trying to do in bringing in a bunch of these guys and really right up against the cap, I mean, they're not going to make another signing. It's all got to be PTOs at this point. And obviously, if you surprise and you make the team, like, they will find space for you and they will make some moves. But what I believe this is to bring him in to work with some of the younger players, work under Mike Sullivan's system, obviously, because he's familiar with him, and push the younger guys to rise above the occasion, I guess, to rise above everyone else in training camp and make this team, make an impact, make a splash, whatever you want to call it, and show that they can be consistent, everyday NHLers for the New York Rangers. And if you can't, you're going to go down to the AHL, and Connor Sheary is going to make the team. That's not necessarily a bad thing, although Connor Sheary hasn't had the best point production in the NHL, at the NHL level at least, like pretty good AHLer, and we'll take a look at his stats now. And you can see, obviously, with the Tampa Bay Lightning last season, and only played 5 games, again, 11 minutes average ice time, had zeros across the board, didn't offer much at the NHL level, had a decent, I guess, AHL year, if you want to call it that. And again, he's 33 years old, so getting up there in age. So again, he would just be a depth forward, a guy who knows Mike Sullivan's system very well, could come in, offer decent minutes, maybe, try to keep the puck out of the net more than he's going to be able to put the puck in the net or set up anyone, stuff like that. So again, not the greatest year by those metrics at all, especially at the NHL level. But and keep in mind also, Connor Sheary, was put on waivers a couple weeks ago at this point, or I guess almost a month ago now. And he had one more year left at a $2 million AAV with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He was put on waivers for the purpose of terminating his contract. But I thought this was very interesting from bench rates as well, that just a couple days ago, if you remember, Joe Veleno ended up signing with the Montreal Canadiens, and there was a lot of noise about that signing, a lot of coverage as well. And Joe Veleno, I thought this was interesting, again, from bench rates. Joe Veleno and Connor Sheary are similar in that last season was spent under the downgrade icon for them. First dropped from 28 points to 17, and only just a $375K paid contribution. Second scored 61 points in the AHL, but hardly played for Tampa. Technically, both of them could still help some teams on the fourth line, especially Veleno, who's only 25. And again, he signed with the Montreal Canadiens, but Connor Sheary, again, while being older, could contribute at the NHL level in a fourth line role. Now, we're very excited. And I think everyone, and I don't want to speak for all Rangers fans, but I think most people are very excited to see Adam Edstrom healthy again on that fourth line with Sam Carrick and, of course, Matt Rempe. But as we saw last year and the year before that, is Adam Edstrom going to play every game? No. Is Matt Rempe going to play every single game, all 82 games? No. I mean, maybe. It's possible. It's definitely possible. But I don't think it's very likely. So if Connor Sheary does end up making the team, I think that, again, it's a sneaky good pickup in that way that he has NHL experience. He knows what Mike Sullivan, expects out of his players. Not only that, he can tell other people and other guys on the team what Mike Sullivan expects and to stay out of the doghouse and stuff like that. So that could bring some value as well. But ultimately, what I think this is to bring this guy in to push all the young guys' buttons in preseason, so then they can go on and, have some consistent performances, show that they can play at the NHL level and look over their shoulder and say, I don't want Connor Sheary to make this team over me. This is my time. I'm 22, I'm 23, I'm 24, whatever it is. I want to make this team, because if I don't make this team now, will I ever make this team, right? And you look at a guy like Brendan Othman, for example, barely talked about him on the channel. Only last week we started talking about him because it's been very quiet on that front. He's a guy that, didn't get to start in the NHL last year, had an injury, looked good, at least the eye test, some of the advanced analytics at the NHL level in the second half of the season. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens coming into this year's training camp, if he's going to be able to make the team. And this just made things a lot more interesting. And again, we've been playing around with lines, Brett and I, on the channel for a long time now. This is just what they have on Puckpedia. This is not something we put together. I would not even expect Gabe Perreault to make the NHL. At this point, I'm really, really managing my expectations personally on him. And that's fine. I think if he starts in the AHL, that's fine. A lot of people are saying, why would you burn a year on his ELC? If he's just going to be in the AHL, it was going to happen anyway, right? Especially last year. I think there was some mismanagement last year, but if he was going to play in the AHL, you're burning a year of the contract anyway. So don't hate it. He can come up and down. There's going to be injuries throughout the course of a year. There always is. You never wish for injuries, but obviously there's always injuries. But I am interested to see, what's going to happen with this lineup and who's going to push who out of the lineup. Because again, that fourth line to me is solidified, most nights that's going to be the fourth line. That third line, I don't think that makes any sense like that. I think personally Zibanejad should play on the wing, but I think that they think, they're deeper as a team if he plays center. I don't think that's a recipe for success. Gabe Perreault, is he going to start in the NHL? Brendan Othman's not even pictured here. Brett Berard, Brett had a video on it that he should be, on the third line, kind of stapled to that third line position. I totally agree. This guy should make the team. Again, anything can happen in preseason. He could look horrible. A couple of these guys could look horrible, but I think ultimately, Brett Berard should make the team. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but I believe that is the real reason why Connor Sheary was signed to that contract or signed to that PTO, that tryout, I should say. And it's going to make things very interesting for the team and some of the young guys heading into camp. I think it's going to make some of the young guys have to rise above. We're going to get some good performances. And if guys aren't ready to go, they're not ready for prime time, Connor Sheary could end up making the team. Maybe they make a move as well, because they're going to have to. If they sign Connor Sheary, even to a league minimum contract, they got to make a move. They would have to move off some money because they're right up against the cap there. It would be a difference of maybe $10,000. So they would absolutely have to make a move after that. So it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing, because I don't think Chris Drury is necessarily done, especially in the PTO department as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. I believe that's the real reason that they signed Connor Sheary to that contract extension. Let me know how you feel in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.